guys, this is Chris, or as most of you on Instagram who have followed me here, most likely from Instagram or from one of my buddies' pages, knows me as @TunesFromTheManCave on Instagram. But we're starting to get friendly, so you guys can call me Chris. This is actually the third time I've attempted to do this video. This particular video was meant to be my intro to the entire YouTube channel, to the entire universe, to all of you guys. But the first time I did it, I was so proud of it. I just knew it was going to go perfect. I messed around, made a mistake, spun a copyrighted record in the background. YouTube blocked it in most regions that you could possibly see it from. Now, I've been told that there are still some countries you can see it in, but this one ain't one of them. So I did the entire video for nothing. So then I go back and I do a bootleg. Certainly if I do a bootleg, I'll be fine. Here's the mistake with that. I picked a bootleg, Led Zeppelin bootleg that had BBC material on it. Wasn't thinking, I just knew that that was a bootleg that I liked. I knew I liked the way it sounded, so I threw that one on. Certainly I'll be fine. Nah, though, they're gonna get you for BBC. 2 failed times. So this makes number 3. So for you guys who live in regions or live in countries that have seen where this is allowed, that have seen the videos of the origin of how I got into vinyl records and why it is I love vinyl records, if you've already seen that, then feel free to skip now. But for most of you, welcome. This was intended to be my intro video, so I'm going to do it one more time. Cross your fingers for me, guys. Okay. Now on the turntable, Pink Floyd. Pigs in the Garden is the entire 1977 Boston Garden concert. This thing is killer. I love it. It's 3 LPs. As it says, the entire concert. There's only, according to my record sleeve itself, 100 in existence. My copy is number 89. Tell me that ain't sweet, guys. Man, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's one of my favorite albums. Excuse me, one of my favorite bootlegs, one of my favorite pieces in my entire collection. Off limits for anything other than one heck of a killer trade. So, anyway, it's awesome. Alright, so this video I'm going to dedicate for how it is I got into the wonderful art and the wonderful business of collecting vinyl records. And how I got interested in the music in the first place. When I was a kid, I'm gonna jump right in. When I was a kid, my mom and dad had this at least 6 foot tall, or maybe it just seemed 6 foot tall because I was so small. Had this huge cabinet in the living room, and it's one of those big combo things. You got the speakers down there at the bottom. You got, like an amp on the way up. You got like space to store your 45s on up, and then at the very top you got the table itself, the turntable itself. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Me, my brother, my mom, 18 months apart from me and my brother, so we were around about the same age. Loved music, running around the house. My mom used to throw on music all the time, loud. It's probably where I get my love for music played at the appropriate volume from. I love this thing. I only wish I knew what they did with it. Anyway, so some of the 45s I want to share with you guys. My mom played more than just these, but some of the ones I want to share with you guys. Fat Boys and the Beach Boys, Wipe Out. It's this big hip hop, old school rock and roll, like fusion kind of record. It's a big party anthem. I still know every word. I've heard this song 10,000 times in my life. There's no doubt about it. My mom would throw it on. I promise you I've never even heard the B-side of this, but apparently it's Crushing. So Crushing by the Fat Boys is the B-side. We used to run around the house dancing. My mom would throw it on while we all cleaned up the house. My dad was constantly at work, so it was me and my brother and my mom just jamming out, listening to tunes, cleaning the house up. It was a blast. My mom's a genius. She got her kids involved in cleaning the house by throwing on tunes. And it still works for me to this day. If I'm cleaning the house, I'm throwing on tunes. Next up, I want to share with you guys one that she used to constantly play all the time. So a little quick story. I usually completely abhor when people write on records, on labels, on sleeves, on inner sleeves or outer sleeves. I usually hate it. I hate it. If Mike Johnson from, Worcester, Massachusetts, wanted to write on his record or his sleeve or whatever, maybe he should have kept it for his entire life. But I don't need to know that information when I buy his secondhand copy. That's just my personal opinion. Some of you guys may disagree. But this is one where I make an exception. If you guys look close, it says Mom and Dad's Wedding Honeymoon Song. And you may or may not be able to read the band or the song name. It's Dexy's Midnight Runners. And it's Come On Eileen. Who hasn't heard Come On Eileen? All of you guys have. But my mom and dad loved the song. Another one of the songs my mom used to throw on and blast so loud. And me and my brother and my mom, I've known the words to Come On Eileen since I was like 4 or 5. Every word. And this one will always be special to me. I wouldn't trade it for all of King Midas's silver. That's not saying if any of you guys have access to King Midas's silver, maybe still call me and make me an offer. I might listen to you. This is a really special one to me. Didn't listen to one quite so much coming up, but it's really special to me in retrospect. A few years back, my mom and dad gave me their entire record collection, which consisted of about 30 or 40 LPs, which they swear once upon a time they had more. I don't know how you lose your LPs, but I certainly couldn't lose mine. And probably about 40 or 50 45s, which is where most of my 45s come from. I only own about 70 or 75, and about 50 of them from them. This one's really special to me, and it's Janis Joplin, me and Bobby McGee, the great Janis Joplin, guys. My favorite female vocalist of all time to this day. This copy belonged to my grandfather, who is no longer with us. He passed this past September after a long battle with cancer. One of my personal heroes and the single strongest and toughest individual I've ever met in my life. So you can tell he loved this record because it's got scratches, it's well played, it's well loved. You can absolutely tell it, and to this day it doesn't sound that great, despite many efforts on my part to clean her up. So for you, grandfather, grandpa, papa as I call him, because I'm Southern, so you guys can cut me some slack. I know some of you watching this video are Southern, so shout out. But for you, grandfather in heaven, for you, papa, that was for you. Thank you for getting me into Janis Joplin, because my love for Janis stemmed from there. Okay, so this is one of the records I got from my father. Paul McCartney and Wings, Wings Over America, 3 LP set. Even though it's a 3 LP set, this record is this collection is extremely common. You could probably get her at just about any secondhand record store in this country for probably $5, $6, maybe $8 if it's in great condition. But it sold a boatload, and it's a killer collection, and what it's most responsible for is getting me into Paul McCartney, who has since gone on to become my favorite musician, period. And so that's what it's served to do. And my dad's one of about 5 people alive that prefer Wings to the Beatles, which for all you guys listening definitely seems insane, but my dad also makes the mistake of thinking that because there are a few Beatles songs on this record, The Long and Winding Roads on this record, Blackbirds on this record, Yesterday's on this record, so my dad thinks that all of these songs, thought that all these songs were Wings songs. And what was funny was schooling my dad to it years later when I got this record and saying, Dad, those are Beatles songs. Well, why are they playing them on the record then if they're Beatles songs? Dad, because Paul McCartney wrote them. He plays them whenever the hell he wants. But I can assure you, they are Beatles songs. So that was a funny correspondence between Ben, mid-20s me, and mid to late 40s dad. So that was interesting. You'd have thought it would have been the other way around. But I will forever love that record. Always. My dad is one of those people that does the instruments and air guitars and everything like that for songs that he listens to and loves, and Every time I've ever been with my dad, when Let Me Roll It has come on, my dad's always, you na 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 na. And if the song was on now and he was standing at the door, he would personally crash my video just to do that for all of you guys. My dad has no shame. But to this day, that's my favorite Wings song and my favorite Paul McCartney post-Beatles song. So, fun note for you guys. I love that song. Thank you, Dad, because without my intro to Paul and Wings, I would have never branched out and become obsessed with the Beatles. So thanks, Pops. Journey. Greatest hits. Quick backstory, my family has a pontoon boat. And I'm not the most outdoorsy person in the world. Obviously, I like to play loud music and drink beer. And those are things that I prefer to do in air conditioner. I live in South Carolina, boy, fellas, it's hot here. It's hot, and I'm not a big fan of the hot, despite being born in Charleston, South Carolina, and living in this state my entire life. I just assume stay inside all summer long, unless you can get me out on the lake. That's my favorite thing to do outdoors. And the reason being is because we took this boat on every body of water in North and South Carolina, guys. I can promise you I've been on all of them. You can't throw one past me. And we always had a radio on there. Cassette player in the old days, CD player later, iPod port now. It's funny how this has all happened. But we always blared our music. Always, and we always sang all the lyrics. And we always had a staple little stack of favorites. Journey Greatest Hits was always one of them. I've known the words to Don't Stop Believing, Faithfully, Open Arms since I was 5 or 6, and have sang them to the top of my lungs, and I'll always cherish Journey for it. I was so thrilled for them when they finally got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very long overdue. Another one of the ones we used to always play, Eagles. Their greatest hits, 1971 to 1975. There's probably not a single one of you watching this video, or that will watch this video, that doesn't own this. I think that this is sold somewhere over 20 million copies, maybe more. One of the highest selling albums of all time. Wouldn't be shocked to find that it's the highest selling compilation of all time. Would not be shocked to find out at all. But Peaceful, Easy Feeling, oh my God, just so relaxing to sit and relax on a pontoon boat, going down any body of water in the South, just playing that tune loud, listening to it, singing it as loud as I can. Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, Lion Eyes. I know all these words, guys, and I've known them all forever. Thanks, Mom and Dad. This next one might throw you for a little loop, but The Drifters. Compilation's called Golden Hits. It's really, you don't need to have every Drifters release of all time. This will suffice. It's got them all on there. There Goes My Baby, Dance With Me, This Magic Moment, Save the Last Dance, Some Kind of Wonderful, Up on the Roof, Under the Boardwalk. I mean, it's got them all, guys. And I've known, again, this is a reoccurring theme, I've known the words to all of these since forever, and I love them. And man, so many great memories, and I'll forever cherish this album. I wouldn't get rid of this for anything. It's not personally handed down to me from them. This is one that I actually acquired myself because we listened to so much Drifters over the years. So this is one that I personally just went out and bought myself and was thrilled to find. Alright, so riding with my mom and hanging out with my mom was an introduction to a completely different kind of music. My love for pop, for softer rock and roll or whatever, what have you, R&B, came mostly from my mom. My mom used to blare a hole in the bad cassette, and then once she got the CD, the same thing for that. And the same with other MJ albums, Dangerous, obviously, who didn't play Thriller. But this one in particular, my mom was a big fan of The Way You Make Me Feel and Man in the Mirror. Dirty Diana. So man, just driving down the road with my mother and my brother in the car on the way to run errands or whatever, and my mom just having this thing up as loud as it would go, singing every note. Again, not personally handed down from them, but it's one that I had to have because of their influence. Okay. Prince and the Revolution, Parade. Man, they used to blare this one. I know what you guys are probably thinking, Chris, that's not even a top like 5 album for Prince. And it might not be. But it's Prince, so it's still funky as hell. Obviously, it's still killer. I mean, that's still plenty of great hits on here. But the one that stands out to me in particular is the song Kiss. And I can just remember as a kid, and even now, the song Kiss coming on, and my mom and my dad singing it to one another. With my dad trying to hit the full falsetto and everything, and he succeeded most of the time. So props to you, Dad, if you ever do end up seeing this. Props to you, because you did a pretty damn good job. You held it together pretty well. And just that. So many memories. So forever from now until the day I'm gone, until the day I no longer retain my memory, I will forever love Kiss, and I will forever love that record. And that's how I became a fan of Prince. And my God, what a fan I've become, because I mean, I've even got a handmade custom Prince canvas in the man cave, which maybe one of these days I'll throw together a special video for you guys, just based off all of my custom music art that I've had made for me over the years. I'm really proud of it. Maybe one day. Alright, so past that, my mom and dad get rid of the 6-foot stereo turntable cabinet. They get rid of that. Never know what happened to it. I mean, they might have told me once upon a time, but it's been years. I'd love to know. They get rid of that. They upgrade to a CD player. Upgrade to a CD player, which of course we know it to no longer be upgrading. Now it's like, where the hell do you even get a CD from? Anyway, so that hung around for years, and I always missed that 6-foot cabinet / turntable. I always missed it. But so years go by. I get into music myself. I get into music myself. Throughout my teenage years. I got my first job when I was 14 years old, made my own money, bought my own car, had my own CD player in there, and basically spent whatever spare money that I had left after car payment, gas, insurance, on CDs. And I'm talking about I would buy 2 or 3 every week, usually, on a good week, because back then it always felt like there was something new and interesting coming out. Not so much now. But I did that for years and years and years and years and years. And what basically made me really want to get into vinyl was when I heard the Beatles extensively for the first time. The very first Beatles CD I ever bought was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Loved it. I'd never been exposed to that coming up. My mom and dad never listened to the Beatles when I was coming up. They didn't play the Beatles. So that was my first exposures. I just went on a limb. Obviously, I'd heard of the album, and I was in Best Buy one day. The CD was there. I was like, you know what? Let me see what this is all about. And I bought it, and I loved it. I've loved these guys ever since. So I wanted to get in to actually being able to listen to records. I don't know. It just hit me one day. Got to thinking about my mom and dad's old cabinet. Got to thinking about my early childhood. Really just wanted to get into records again, but wasn't sure how. So the first thing I did when I got into records was I went on eBay and I bought myself a copy of John Lennon's Imagine. And not only a copy of John Lennon's Imagine, but it's an original copy. It's still got the poster of him at the piano and everything's still in it. It's in perfect condition. I'm going to get that frame. That's going to happen. I just haven't done it yet. But that's the first one I buy. And I buy it and I have no means to listen to it whatsoever. I don't know what to do. I don't have an older relative to give me a turntable because they've all long since gotten rid of the turntables. I just get on Amazon one day and I find this combo like wooden box. It like looks like a piece of furniture. I mean, it's really aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's got a CD player on it. It's got an iPod port on the side. It's got a cassette deck on the side, on the other side, and it's got a turntable on the top. And it wasn't that much. It was pretty relatively inexpensive. I'm like, well, that's awesome. That just all of my musical needs in one piece of furniture. Like, this is great, because I didn't know any better. But I bought it. Played my record on it, was blown away. At the time, that was the bee's knees for me. I loved it. But then I decided I want my music louder. Growing up around loud music, I'd always played my music loud. And the problem with this thing is it only had a couple little side speakers on the side, and you couldn't hook external speakers to it. So as soon as I determined that couldn't be done, that's when I was like, to hell with this. This has got to go. Got recommended to somebody for a good starter turntable, as they called it. And often gets called, and it is a good starter turntable, by the way, for any of you guys who may be watching this video looking for a starter one. It's Audio-Technica AT-LP 60, fully automatic. You can obviously hook an amp to it. External speakers. I mean, it does great, especially if you're, you know, the kind of person who never really aspires to get too heavy into the hobby, which of course I did. But it does great. And after I finally bought myself a real turntable, which I got from my boy at Noble Records, Dylan, it's a Technics SLD2. Sounds right, I think. Anyway, I bought it from him. The turntable had meant a lot to him, but he sold it to me, and I loved it. I loved it. It didn't have a dust cover, which in my house is essential because I have pets. I put a dust cover on it. Dust cover acted up again. I had to go replace it again. So it was another $100. I'm like, for all these turntables, they no longer make the parts for. Like, every time I need a new part, I'm gonna break my pockets. So I'm like, I need to buy a turntable that's new, that's awesome, that they still make parts for. So I went and bought myself a USB Audio-Technica AT-LP 120. Upgraded the cartridge to a Ortofon 2M Red, and that's what you guys hear in the background. And actually ended up selling him his Technics back, even though I really didn't want to, but I was more than content to keep that thing forever because it was an awesome table. But it did my boy a solid because he did me a solid, and plenty of other solids. So keep showing it in the videos, buddy, because I feel like I'm getting visitation rights just looking at the thing. So I'm glad it's still awesome. What was funny, I'd always believed that John Lennon's Imagine was the first album, the first record I had ever bought. I always believed that. Until I went looking through my old stuff at my parents' house one day and found this Some Like It Hot original soundtrack. To those of you not familiar with Some Like It Hot, phenomenal movie. Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon. Classic. It's one of the greatest comedies of all time, one of the greatest movies of all time. But full disclosure, I am a huge Marilyn Monroe fan, and used to be really fanatical about it, so I wanted anything Marilyn Monroe. And I had won this on an eBay auction. Again, I knew it was a vinyl record. I knew what it was for, but I had no means to play it. I just wanted it to frame it because I thought it would look cool with the rest of my Marilyn Monroe collection, and it did. But when I moved out of my parents' house, kind of got boxed up. A lot of the stuff, you guys know how it is to move out of your parents' house. You leave a lot of your stuff behind, and you know, maybe you go back and get some of it someday when you have the room, and that's kind of what happens. I went back to get some stuff, found this, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the first record I bought. So that's actually the first record I bought. So that's how I got into it, guys. That's how I got into vinyl records. Thanks to my mom and dad for getting me into vinyl records at such a young age, for later giving me their record collection. These days I buy my vinyl records at Lunchbox Records, my favorite record store, and Repo Record in Charlotte, another solid one. Every now and then I might hit the Wax Museum. When I get to Greenville, Cabin Floor Records, guys, probably the best record store in South Carolina. I love it. It's killer. A lot of like Harvest Records, Horizon. I mean, there's so many good ones in my area now. And well, not necessarily in my area, you know, within a 40-minute to 2.5-hour drive. It just depends on what I'm feeling up to doing or how much time I have on my hands. And I still buy some on eBay every now and then, even though what experience and time has taught me is that damn, eBay's expensive most of the time. I come to find Discogs to be way more fair. And then, finally, I have to give a shout out. I've got about 2,700 pieces in my collection. I guarantee you I've bought between 700 and 1,000 of them. From my boy at Noble Records, Dylan as I call him. This is a t-shirt that he gave me once. He didn't have very many brown copies. Matter of fact, I think he actually told me that only 2 people have one. I think he told me he has one and I have one. But he gave it to me because I actually bought several $100s worth of wax from him, and he just threw the shirt in. And it's one of my favorite shirts. I wear it all the time. Cool backstory. I was actually wearing this t-shirt on the most important day of my life. The day my baby girl was brought into this world, the day she was born, the very first picture of me holding my little girl. I'm wearing this t-shirt. So, Dylan, I don't even know if you knew that, but I was totally wearing this shirt that day. So, this shirt could have 500 holes in it. I won't throw it away. It means a lot to me, not just because of our friendship, but because I was wearing it the first time I held my baby girl, man. It's very important to me. So, shout out to you for that. I didn't know if you even knew. Also, shout out to my boy at CMJ Vinyl. He's got an awesome collection. You guys should follow him on Instagram if you don't already. Killer collection. He's got a band called Groove Matter. It's awesome. Look it up on iTunes or Spotify. Again, it's Groove Matter. Killer stuff. If you want more information as to how you can obtain maybe a physical copy, for those of you who still like to do that, hit him up at CMJ Vinyl. He may be able to help you out. And also to my buddy HDA at HDA Vinyl. Awesome guy. Killer collection. Killer collection. Chances are if you probably follow one of us, you probably follow all of us. But just in case you don't, at HDA Vinyl, his name's Garrison. He's a killer guy. He also has his own channel on here. These are all awesome guys, and they inspired me to put this channel together. We all started these channels kind of together after at Noble Records got it started. But thank you so much, guys, for the motivation, for the push. I don't see any way in the world this video gets blocked, because this is, again, it's a Floyd bootleg. It's no BBC material on it. It's no nothing like that. So you should be able to get this one. And hey, until next time, until next video, until next story, keep dropping that needle, guys. You guys have a good one. Peace. Until I see you next time.